Hey there, everyone. I'm Errol Barnett, in for Vladimir Duthier, who we've been watching this morning on assignment. Welcome to a special edition of CBS News 24/7. Right now, emergency crews are getting their first look at damage left behind by Hurricane Milton. Here's a look at our live radar right now, showing the storm slowly moving out east, but still dumping a huge amount of water on the state. Areas inland are dealing with high winds and are bracing right now for flash flooding. Milton made landfall overnight as a dangerous Category 3 storm around Siesta Key. That's very close to Sarasota. Heavy rains and damaging winds battered most of the state all evening. And take a look at what the strong winds did to the roof of the Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. This is home of the Tampa Bay Rays. Parts of that roof completely torn to pieces, and that building was meant to serve as a shelter for thousands of first responders. Let's head over to CBS News correspondent Nicole Valdes. She is in Island Park, Florida, and I can see you there standing close to some of the waters. Help us understand what you woke up to this morning.
Errol, good morning. Unfortunately, that dreaded storm surge a reality for so many across Southwest Florida. We are talking about inches of water still on the ground, but earlier at the height of the storm, this was up to 3 feet. And you'll notice the community behind me, all these homes dealing with the sort of consequences. In the distance, you can hear a generator whirring. That means power is out. One of many problems so many across the state are now dealing with. Of course, we know that this was a significant storm doing so much damage in many different ways by its either storm surge or flooding, and in some cases, violent tornadoes. More than 100 tornado warnings issued as Hurricane Milton made its way over the Sunshine State. Today, of course, is going to be focused on cleaning up. A lot of the neighbors who live in this community will likely be having to deal with the repercussions here. So trying to clean up, maybe looking at some damage as all this water hopefully starts to recede very soon.
Yeah, and it's a delicate day as we see people gathering their things, assessing their neighborhood, checking on friends and family. But Governor DeSantis did say this morning, don't head into the waters, don't do anything dangerous because power lines are down. We know that there are many people without power. So what's the power situation as far as you can tell?
At last check, we were looking at more than 3 million customers in the dark, and that's statewide. As we've noticed, really impacts as far as, really coast to coast, west to east, right? It really was not just one specific city, and I think that is going to be the challenge as those linemen try to get out today to get people back on.
All right, Nicole Valdes in Island Park, Florida. You and the crew, please stay safe. We want to bring in CBS News Philadelphia meteorologist Kate Bilo with the first look at the national forecast. What a day, Kate.
What a day indeed, and what a night, Errol. Of course, it was all last night after Milton made landfall around 8:30 last night near Siesta Key, and this went on, the storm raging across Florida all night long. Let's talk about where it is right now and what we can expect as we go through the rest of the day. Hurricane Milton, still a hurricane. It's a Category 1 storm at this hour. Right now with sustained winds still at 85 miles per hour, but here's the good news. It's off the coast. It is out over open water, and it's moving a little bit more rapidly than it had been moving. Right now, moving to the east-northeast at 18 miles per hour. It's right now 225 miles northwest of Great Abaco Island. It is continuing to produce very strong winds, though. You can see a couple of spots here. Fort Pierce gusting to 61 miles per hour still. We have gusts over 30 miles an hour still in St. Augustine and Daytona Beach. So definitely still feeling the winds around the backside of Milton as the storm departs, but nothing like what happened yesterday. In addition to the storm surge, Nicole mentioned the tornadoes. Look at these tornado reports, over 100 tornado reports, even on the eastern side of Florida, as those outer bands of Milton started to move on shore. Reports of folks that lost their lives, certainly homes destroyed, reports of over 100 homes destroyed in tornadoes with Milton. And the storm surge flooding is ongoing. Even as Milton moves away, we'll continue to see those rivers and streams rise, especially at high tide. We'll have more on that, plus a look around the nation coming up. Errol, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Kate Bilo, thanks so much. We'll see you again soon. Now, you remember that stadium ripped to pieces? That's in St. Petersburg, and we want to take you to storm coverage from our Tampa Bay affiliate WTSP, which the mayor of St. Petersburg is now speaking. Let's listen.
Like flushing toilets and brushing your teeth. However, due to waterline breaks, we also had to shut off drinking water last night. around midnight. Crews have been out this morning making repairs to the drinking water system, and potable water is back on and may come out of your sink. As the system continues to pressurize, however, it's very important to boil the water before you use it. So we have issued a boil water notice. We're working to identify the location of the waterline break, and we have multiple crews conducting ground and aerial surveillance so we can repair the leak and fully restore services. And this is why we stress that folks should stay off of the roads, as city teams need that space to ensure we can restore services to residents as quickly as possible. In terms of electric service, we have nearly 400,000 people without power in Pinellas County right now. It will take longer to restore power, but we are working alongside Duke Energy to ensure that we can repair those systems as quickly as possible. Duke is working to bring crews in, but we just need everyone to be patient right now due to the impact and the number of outages that we are dealing with. This was an unprecedented storm with very high winds. The damage to the power system is more severe this time around. Many residents across our city team are impacted by this storm as well. So we're asking for everyone to be patient while these services are being restored. I do want to thank our local, state, and federal partners for the support they provided to us during this time. We've been in contact with them across all levels, and they've all been great partners who are focused on helping St. Pete rebuild. This was a storm that intensified quickly and gave us very little time to prepare. But we made it through the storm, we've started the recovery, and we will be successful. I ask that everyone continue to be patient and lean on each other during this time. Be a good neighbor, offer help where you can, and know that we will come back from this challenge stronger and more resilient than ever before. Thank you all. We'll now take any questions you might have.
All right, listening to the mayor of St. Petersburg there tell everyone there's approximately 100,000 people who remain without power, but he says they've made it through the storm, and he's now encouraging people to remain patient as emergency responders head out to continue to assess the damage. We also saw footage there of a crane which collapsed. I believe that was downtown by Hurricane Milton. He also thanked his federal counterparts. And on the flip side, President Biden told Floridians, quote, "We have your back." That was ahead of Milton's landfall last night. The White House mobilized resources preemptively ahead of this storm, and CBS News reporter Willie James Inman joins me now to speak about this. So you have some appreciation from your local officials to the federal government. What else is the White House and the administration planning to do now that so many people are without power, and it may take a while before people are whole again?
Yeah, it certainly will take some time, Errol, and this region is still recovering from the effects of Hurricane Helene, and FEMA has already pre-positioned assets, some 20 million meals, 40 million liters of water. On top of that, you have vehicles, you have assets from the Pentagon positioned to help in those rescue and recovery efforts. And the president just a little while ago spoke with Governor DeSantis of Florida. Essentially, the governor and Deanne Criswell, the FEMA administrator, are going to go out, assess some of the damage. Then the president is going to receive another briefing. He did also get a briefing this morning from the FEMA director and his Homeland Security advisor to essentially discuss what is going on down there in Florida, talk about all the things that need to happen in terms of the recovery efforts. Remember, the president has already approved that disaster declaration for the state of Florida ahead of Hurricane Milton touching down there in the state. So those federal assets are ready to go, the federal funds ready to deploy if they're needed by the governor and the residents down there in Florida, Errol.
And we're just looking at some of the tornado footage, which is just remarkable, that came out of the eastern part of Florida, southeastern. Willie, after Hurricane Helene, both President Biden and Vice President Harris made trips to Georgia and the Carolinas. Do we yet know if there are similar plans to head to Florida post-Milton?
Yeah, right now is too early to say. We don't yet know if the president will travel there, but it oftentimes, as you mentioned, it typically does happen. You have the president or the vice president who will travel down to the affected areas once everything is a little bit more settled. Settled isn't perhaps the best word because it will take months, if not years, for some of these people to put their lives back together again, especially those people who lost their homes. We don't yet know if the president will have a public event today. On his schedule, he doesn't have any public events, just closed briefings about the hurricane relief efforts. We know the vice president, she's campaigning out west. We will see her at a pre-recorded town hall later today. So she's doing some campaign events. We typically do receive updates with the president's schedule if he wants to make a public appearance, if he wants to brief the public about the disaster response. And we'll bring that news to you right when we receive it, Errol.
Yes, Willie, I was just going to say stay close, because as soon as that happens, even though it may not be planned at this point, we will bring it to our viewers live. Thank you very much for the update.